Hi, and welcome back to the Pelvic Empowerment IBS video series. My name is Tori, and I am a doctor of physical therapy who specializes in pelvic dysfunction, which means I treat things that can go wrong around the pelvis, and this includes bowel dysfunction. Earlier this month, I decided to do my best to unpack what I have learned about IBS in a video series, and today I wanted to add a second installment all about trigger foods. If you haven't, please check out my first video all about what causes IBS, because I am going to be building on some of the topics discussed in that video today. Assuming you've seen that video, I still do want to quickly refresh you. One thing that we discussed in that video is that IBS, whether that's constipation dominant, diarrhea dominant, or mixed, is likely caused by some form of brain-gut axis dysfunction. We isolated the gastrocolic reflex as one potential brain-gut connection that might be dysfunctional in humans who have IBS. And we proposed that while there is no curative treatment for IBS, we could use this idea of a dysfunctional gastrocolic reflex for IBS symptom management in the form of diet. Now, quickly remind yourself of what the gastrocolic reflex is. In a healthy gut, when you eat something, the act of eating stimulates the rhythmic contractions of your intestines. Those rhythmic contractions propel food and eventually waste through the intestinal tract. The body literally makes room for the new food that you are eating to be digested, and eventually you end up having a bowel movement. So if we look at trigger foods through the broad general lens of the gastrocolic reflex, well then, the question to answer is, what kind of food triggers this reflex the most? But if we look at trigger foods through the more specific, individualized lens of food sensitivity or food intolerance, well then, the question to answer is, what foods are you as an individual human specifically sensitive or intolerant to? In this video, we are going to ask and answer the more global generalized question of what kind of food most triggers the gastrocolic reflex, but I do plan on answering the more specific individualized question regarding food sensitivity or food intolerance in the next IBS video. So then, let's answer the more generalized question, what food triggers the gastrocolic reflex most powerfully? According to this 2000 study investigating fats and carbohydrates' effects on the gastrocolic reflex in healthy humans who do not have IBS, the answer is clearly fats. Check out this figure. This is looking at the same healthy person's intestinal contractions after he eats a fat-dominant meal, which is shown in figure A, and a carbohydrate-dominant meal, which is shown in figure B. The different P's that you see on the left-hand side of the images are measuring pressure waves in different parts of the intestinal tract. Or, said another way, they are measuring the pressure created by intestinal contractions. Look at how much more pressure is produced in the different parts of his intestine in figure A versus figure B. Also, realize that figure A is looking at these different pressures over a period of 5 hours, where figure B only looks at these pressures over a period of 2 hours, because after the carbohydrate dominant meal, pressure activity decreased in essentially 2.5 hours. Whereas after the fat dominant meal, pressure activity continued for well over 3 hours. Clearly, high fatty foods trigger the gastrocolic reflex, which triggers that rhythmic contraction of the intestines significantly more than carbohydrates. In fact, fat is the most powerful gastrocolic reflex stimulant of all the macronutrients. What does that mean for someone with IBS? That could be why, if you're someone who suffers from IBS attacks, those attacks happen so soon after eating. So soon that you know intuitively there's no way that the food that you just ate has actually had time to get into your intestines. Instead, the food that you ate powerfully stimulated the gastrocolic reflex, and the attack, the pain that you're feeling, is due to dysfunction dysfunctional intestinal contractions. If someone with a healthy gut eats a high fatty food, what happens to him or her? He or she probably just has to have a bowel movement a little bit sooner. If someone with IBS and an assumed dysfunctional gastrocolic reflex eats that same higher fatty food, well then what happens to him or her? If you have diarrhea dominant IBS, what's likely happening there is an overly sensitive gastrocolic reflex. Your intestines are contracting and moving so much faster and with more intensity than in a normal gut. And so you end up with abdominal pain because of the intensity of the contractions, and you end up with diarrhea because that food literally moves right through you and there's no time for the water in that food to be reabsorbed. On the other side of the coin, if you have constipation dominant IBS, what could be happening here is one of two things. One, you have that same overly sensitive gastrocolic reflex that we were just describing, but the intensity of the contractions is so high that you actually end up with an intestinal muscle spasm. And that spasm is painful and you get abdominal pain. You also get bloated because nothing's moving, and then you also get constipated because, again, the food or waste that was moving in the intestinal tract is now halted. Or two, instead of an overly sensitive gastrocolic reflex, you have an underly sensitive gastrocolic reflex, which means those intestinal contractions are moving really, really slowly. This again would lead to painful abdominal bloating and constipation because food or waste isn't moving very well through the intestinal tract. So with this in mind, would a low fat or potentially zero fat diet help manage IBS symptoms? It sure seems so, but we can't dismiss how important fats are in our diet, and we also can't paint all fats with the same brush. Fat is an important macronutrient, and while I am not a registered dietitian, I wouldn't recommend that anybody follow a zero fat diet. As the Cleveland Clinic puts it, we need fats as a source of energy, a source of essential fatty acids that our bodies cannot make, a component of cell walls, a way to absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, and a way to insulate our bodies and protect our organs. So should you totally cut fats? I don't think so. Here's the thing. Your gastrocolic reflex doesn't care what kind of fat you consume. You could eat a stick of butter or you could eat an avocado and the gastrocolic reflex will still register that as the same powerful trigger. But the rest of your body, your heart, your liver, your arteries, etc., will certainly be able to tell the difference between a stick of butter and an avocado. According to the World Health Organization, less than 30% of your daily intake should come from fats. So then a low-fat diet would probably fall into the realm of 20 to 25% of your daily intake being fat. But not all fats are created equal. According to the World Health Organization, unsaturated fats are preferable to saturated fats and trans fats of all kinds, including both industrially produced trans fats and ruminant trans fats. The American Heart Association agrees and recommends that you replace saturated and trans fats with unsaturated fats. So if you're aiming for a low-fat diet, you really want to make sure that the fats that you do consume count. Unsaturated fats that include those essential fatty acids that our bodies can't produce themselves, like olive oil, nuts, avocado, fatty fish, and flax, just to name a few examples, would ideally be the main or potentially the only source of your fat intake. I will get more specific about fats and how to pair them with certain foods so that you can be kinder to your gastrocolic reflex after I cover food sensitivities and food intolerances, as well as insoluble and soluble fiber. It is my intention to discuss each topic thoroughly and well so that you can fully understand where I'm getting my ideas, where this whole plan is even coming from, before I outline more specific dietary considerations for symptom management. So then, let me pause here and ask, what do you do with this information? My intention in making this video and all of my videos is to empower you with knowledge. I will not sit here in my living room and tell you to eat a low-fat low-fat diet where most of your fat, if not all of your fat, is coming from unsaturated sources. First of all, I am not a registered dietitian, and second of all, I recognize that not only is everyone's relationship with food different, but also everyone's body is different. And at the end of the day, what you choose to do with this information is just that. Your choice and yours alone. Know that there is good evidence to suggest that maintaining a low-fat diet that either limits or completely avoids foods that are higher in saturated and trans fats, think red meat, dark chicken meat and chicken skin, egg yolk, dairy, will help you ease IBS symptoms. But if it were me, once this series is complete, I would watch the videos, gather the information that resonated with me, run my own tests, and draw my own conclusions. So then, up next in the series, we will cover the more individualized topic that was presented earlier in this videos for trigger foods, which would be individual food sensitivities or intolerances. All right, thank you so much for watching. I am so honored to be doing request videos. This entire IBS video series came from multiple requests surrounding different topics about IBS, and I'm also so grateful to be building a platform here on YouTube, so thank you genuinely so much for watching. As I said, in this video series, I do plan on covering food sensitivities and intolerances, soluble and insoluble fiber, specific dietary considerations after those other two topics are covered when it comes to managing IBS symptoms through diet, and I also plan on covering anxiety, stress, and mood and how those things can affect IBS, as well as Linzess and Trulance, and potentially even a video on the more holistic treatment options for IBS. But all of that being said, if there is a topic about IBS that I didn't mention that you want me to cover, mention it in the comments below and I will genuinely take it into consideration. Please, if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and feel free to comment any questions or your experiences or content suggestions below. I do try really hard to read and respond to all of my comments. Subscribe to my channel for more content surrounding pelvic health. Check me out on Instagram, and again, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.